Hello and welcome to Furious Driving, and today we've got something a little bit different. Many times on the channel you've seen me bring in an absolute disaster of a car and slowly, or maybe sometimes a bit more quickly, bring it back to life and put it back on the road. Quentin, for example, went from a £150 wreck that no one on the planet apart from me and maybe 3 other people thought was worth doing, and that, look at it now, this W123, which people have said so many times is beyond help, is coming back quite nicely as well. Anyway, guess what? Doing it again, but this time it's a little bit different. This one, rather than my usual thing of buying a car because I've always wanted one and then going the cheapest possible option, which is a wreck, I'm doing a catch and release. I've been thinking about doing this kind of thing for quite a while, but we just never had the opportunity come up. But this week a friend of mine was doing a garden clearance of about 40 or so cars, and he sent me a photo of a car in the dark, which he said was a Mondeo. I had to take his word for it, because under the darkness and the undergrowth, I honestly couldn't tell. He said, did I want it for scrap value to save him the bother of trying to find somewhere to keep it while it was on eBay? I said yes. So we have now got a Mark II 1998 Mondeo 1.8 LX in what is actually quite a nice shade of metallic blue underneath the grime. And this is quite a grimy car. I'm wearing gloves just for the intro. But rather than spending months making this car absolutely perfect, I'm giving myself a week. Sorry, I'll rephrase that. My wife has given me a week to get this thing gone. I'm sure you can imagine the joy on her face when she saw this hove into view on the back of a low loader. Yeah, that was a fun conversation. But I think this is a good car. I think over the next 7 days I can transform this. The immense satisfaction of jet washing all of this crud off the car. It's going to need a new tyre because that one is flat quite a lot. I'm guessing it's going to need a new battery. It's definitely going to need an oil and filter, and it's going to need an MOT because it's been sat for about 5 or 6 years as far as I can tell. So first things first, I haven't lifted the bonnet yet, so you join me for the first time on that. This is literally where the low loader left it. So before I spend a single penny on this car, I'm going to pop the bonnet, see what the engine's like, see if it'll even turn over, and then decide where we go from there. You are literally seeing this in real time. But before I disturb anything, I just want to share the true glory of this car. So that tyre arrived flat, pumped it up to get it off the truck, and a few hours later it's flat again, so it's only good for moving the car very short distances. This thing is astonishingly thick with dirt. These sharp lines have got things growing in them. There is an ecosystem on the bonnet itself. This is one of the gungiest cars I've ever seen. There's moss growing out from the headlights. There is, oh my god, the air vents down here are not looking the best. They are completely filled with tree gunk. There's stuff growing in the air vents basically. That's got to be like a couple of centimetres deep, full of dirt down. Same story up in the gutter rails, moss growing pretty thick in it. And in the doors, door shuts, I've got, again, an entire ecosystem. That's kind of freaky hanging in there. Can't really see through the windows because they are so thick with gun, or caked on tree goo. Another entire ecosystem here in the window seals, so that's going to need a bit of cleaning. Back end of the car, much the same story. It was dragged out on the back of a Range Rover apparently, so hasn't started yet. Mondeo. New looking exhaust pipe down there though. Unsurprisingly, a crack on the bumper, so we will be able to apply the regulation Mondeo gaffer tape to the back bumper. That is the law. More moss. So much moss. The jet washer is going to get a heavy duty workout on this thing. Tyre is finally coming up. Okay, right, oh my word, look at this. It is going to be immensely satisfying doing this. It's a bit of a hold your breath before you go in. It's not too mouldy, it could have been an awful lot worse. We'll move this out hopefully in a minute and give a proper look around. Pop the bonnet, disturb a lot of life. Get some grease on that. Doors shut nicely. The cable did something. Okay, yuck, look at that. I'm glad I wore gloves. I've not lifted a Mondeo bonnet in a while, so I can't remember where the thing is. Oh, there we are. Dead centre, nice and easy. Okay, 1.8 16 valve Zetec. Haha, not even got a battery. Man, I'm actually choking slightly from the filth in here. All we've got is a little bit of, I think, fir cone, or is that chewed up by a rat? Some snail shells and a Trecetto Gregola strawberry cream filling, some kind of Italian snack wrapper. Okay, let's see if we can find a battery from somewhere. Okay, this is definitely the wrong battery. This is actually from a Merr Mini, but it'll hopefully fit on those connectors and give us an opportunity to crank it with a jump pack on there. That's definitely too little. But before I do that though, I am going to pull that and check the oil in a rag. Oh, I can hear ticking. I guess that's a fuel pump or something. That battery's pretty low. Well, it's got oil. I'll tell you what, that oil is actually golden. I don't think it even needs an oil change. Can you see this? This is fresher than fresh. It looks like it's changed and then never driven. Because normally if you'd started a car, within minutes of turning the key, it would be pretty disgusting. Well, that makes me feel pretty positive actually. Zetec E 1.8L. Ideally, I should be doing so many more checks on this thing, but this thing basically has cost me scrap value plus a tow so far, and I could pretty much get that back for it right now if I wanted to. Okay, the belt, auxiliary belt, again, looks quite nice. That slow clunking has slowed down, now I've put that on there. I only have one key and it's not a remote key, so I'm assuming there would be a remote. Oh my gosh, I'm guessing some rats or something have had a go at that. Okay, deep breath again. Let's just bump the key once or twice. Oh, aircon's on full. It has got aircon, which is awesome. Oh, it turned all right. Is there any petrol in it? Yes. But it is pretty ancient, so I don't know if it's going to go on that or not. Wow, that sounds good, doesn't it? That sounds really good for a car that's been sat for several years. Lots of snail shells under here. Oh, that does sound happier and happier. I guess the oil's starting to move around the engine a bit. Maybe put a bit of squirt or something in there. That air filter looks brand new as well. I think this was serviced and then parked, which is going to save me a fair bit of money in terms of oil filter and sundries, that kind of stuff, because if the car was parked up and serviced, I don't need to do it again, because I was factoring in an oil and filter change at the very least. Let's give it a little bit of encouragement, let's call it that. I think I might have killed the battery because it doesn't want to crank anymore, and it's only a little one off for a 1.6 Mini, and this was even a bit little on the Mini when I replaced it. This one is one I bought for the W123 and turned out to be too tall for the engine bay. It might be too tall for this engine bay as well. Ah, that's irritating. Yuck. No, that's not going to work. Unfortunately, I don't think I put my Noco away fully charged, because that now seems to be fully drained and is back on charge again. Meanwhile, I tried to put this battery out the W123 in there, but it's too tall. So we'll try and use that. Oops, that's just pulling it off. That to jump the car this way instead. Fingers crossed, we have some life in the car. Wow, okay, it runs, but I'm suspecting it might be a fuel or fuel pump issue in here somewhere. Let's get to turn long enough to start drawing the fuel through. I will be happy. Oh, what colour is this fluid? Okay, yeah, it's got some kind of liquid in there. I'm going to call it coolant. So, I've brought down the heavy duty chugger that is the Freelander to give it some decent oomph for a minute or two. Just try and get the fuel pump going. I'm not sure if I can hear the fuel pump or not. That slow clicking might have been the fuel pump struggling. I'm kind of hoping that 6-year-old petrol is old enough to be good enough quality that it'll last in a tank for, well, 6 years, rather than the current stuff which after 3 months is basically varnish and will kill a fuel system. That sounds healthier. Okay, last try before I go and buy a gallon or two of V-Power and dump it in there and see if that does the trick. Because that did happen with Quentin. After I left Quentin across the winter, wouldn't start. I think the Alpha had the same issue. Regular petrol wouldn't go. Had to go and put some V-Power in, shake the car, mix the fuel can system up a bit, then it went. Ah, do you know what? I can smell petrol now, and it smells varnishy. I'm gonna buy some V-Power. Crikey. I've literally just had a thought. I've come back and I couldn't open the fuel cap. And I'm just wondering if it's a central locking issue. And I heard the locks do something. Don't know. Can we get into the fuel again? Oops. No. Now there should be an emergency pull thing in the boot. We've not opened the boot yet. This will be exciting. Okie dokie. Who knows what we're going to find in here? A hose pipe. Good. Well, the struts have gone. Less good. So I need to find something to hold the struts up. Need a broom. Right, so under that carpet we have got an also flat and slightly bald spare tyre. We've got more gunk and snail shells in the door shut. What we don't have though is an emergency boot release. We've got a working light though, which is nice. What I've just discovered after a quick Google though is that they deleted the emergency fuel filler flap release from the Mark II. It was on the Mark I, not on the Mark II. Probably it's very gunked up is the consensus, but you need to get a trim tool in there and just whittle it out. So let's do it whittling. So a bit of pressure on there. Let's go and pull the lever again. That's probably a solenoid though, isn't it, on this? There we go. It's in. Oh my word, look at that. I want more gloves immediately. That's really unpleasant. Excessive yuck. These are definitely going in the bin as soon as I'm done here. Oh, so gross. Come on, unscrew yourself. Oh, it smells disgusting. Really, really unpleasant. Right, £20 worth of V-Power. Here we go. Something has been unhappy in there. 20 quid, this is 2 gallons over £20. Madness. Okay, now having filled the car with as much fuel as my credit card can manage, we just need to do the slightly surreal activity of bouncing on the car because I need to mix the fuel in the tank. And spiderwebs. In Quentin, I didn't mind climbing in the boot to do that. In this car, I'm less keen to do that. Here's where I lose a leg when the boot lid falls off that broom. If you're putting entries in for the strangest thing on the internet this week, this might be it. Door key, the key, only key. Right, let's give this a whirl. Oh, I don't want to touch it. What I might have to do is crank it somewhat, and then the V-Power will do its thing through the fuel system, which I think is basically what saved the W123 behind me. V-Power just sat in the fuel lines, clearing stuff out. I need more power, that's cranking way too slow. Right, okay, I have done a bit of digging in the book pack that came with this car. Incidentally, I can tell you it's a one-owner car from new. Yeah, registered to Arriva Automotive, 130,000 miles on it. It has got a Combi 79, which is an Italian immobiliser made by Scarico. Yeah, and it was put together in 1996 or 1998. And what it can tell me, I can hear the fuel pump trying to go, is that the red flashing LED, which is got on the dashboard, which is down by the ashtray, is either system on, fully armed, or, yeah, it's the immobiliser's on, which is why I can't start it. I'll have to do a bit more digging online, because this Mondeo is going to go nowhere until I can get the immobiliser sorted out. It may be coupled with a low battery issue, because when the bonnet's up, it's flashing the hazard lights, which means that there's a bonnet door or boot violation, but I can't run the jump leads in there without the bonnet being open, so Yeah, that's an issue, but there's no instructions in here for the Combi 79, so I don't know how you may turn it off. Okay, so as soon as I hook up the battery, I've got flashes on that, which also flashes the hazard lights, but I think it's calling the green flash, which means either bonnet open, voltage drop violation, or engine immobiliser violation. Slow flash means system fault. I'm going to have to find a better battery for this thing before I can go any further. And that's money I didn't want to spend until I knew the car was functioning at least a little bit more than this. I wonder if a Rover 400 battery will fit in here. That might be my next option. Right, the 400 has just donated its battery, very kindly, I'm sure it won't mind. Ugh. So we can try it now with a known good battery. Let's give it the cranks. Oh, wipers seem to do stuff now. Weren't doing that before. I guess there was too little power. Oh, yuck. That doesn't look good, does it? The red flashing light on the immobiliser has gone out. Oh no, it's back on again. Come on, car. Suck some V-power through. Just going to try locking and unlocking it again. Doesn't seem to want to do much on the lock and unlock. That might be an issue as well. It won't lock or indeed unlock on the key. We're going to think about our actions. Think about what we've done. Okay, day 2 of these, what I can only describe as shenanigans with the Mondeo. Quick recap of where we are and where we got to, because I'm kind of hazy after all of yesterday. I had to give up because it was school collection time and then editing the mini video time. Now, so the car's been sat for a number of years. It won't start, it cranks, it fires briefly on easy start, which means the ignition system works but the fuel system doesn't. I've put a V-power in there because the fuel in there is potentially stale, definitely stale. However, a couple of other options are also making themselves present in this situation right now. I did a bit of reading in the handbook. There is a fuel cut-off switch in the passenger door shut, so I need to move the car forward in order to access that, and maybe the jolting around on the tow truck was enough to trigger that fuel cut-off, so it's worth a shot. It could be the fuel relay, and it could be the immobiliser. I did some googling on the immobiliser last night. I could find no information about it or the company that made it anywhere on the internet, so I'm guessing they've been shut a good long time. So this morning I sent a message to the auto electrician James, who did the tail lights on the Crown Vic, and he's done a couple of other things for me, did the immobiliser on the Alpha 145 as well. So I've asked him what he would charge to take an unknown mystery immobiliser off a car. Hopefully not too much, because let's not forget, we don't want mission creep on this. If this becomes a roadblock, I'm not going to spend months on it. I'm just going to bung it on eBay and get rid of it as is, because this is a project whose point is entirely to make a few pounds to put into the other projects. It's a nice sideline, it's a diversion, it's fun, and I really like Mondeos, so I want to see it saved. But at the same time, mission creep is not an option. If it's not done in a week, it's going somehow regardless, and hopefully this video will pay for what I lose on it. Let's see where we go. Right, let's move the thing backwards and then see if the fuel cutoff makes any difference. I discovered the bigger of the two batteries I was trying to jump start it from yesterday doesn't take a charge, so that probably wasn't doing a lot. Only the third time it's moved in several years, although admittedly still not under its own power. I'm hoping it doesn't lurch, because it's an automatic, it's kind of hard to judge what I'm doing. I also really hope I can get it back into that space again. At least once it's out I can start to wash it. So there's not actually a switch in the door jamb, just this large and vicious looking spider down here, which I'm keen not to make friends with at any point in the near future. Is that a red widow or whatever it's called? You know, the dangerous ones that give nasty bites. It is in fact down here, that little black hole through there, but you can't actually see it. Right, so I've pushed the button, don't make any odds. I did put some Bulldog on the door handle last night. It does now retract on its own, which is a big difference. I also put some into the lock too, because that felt really stiff and didn't seem to be doing a lot. Still isn't. Will this do anything now? No. I can kind of smell fuel, but I want to make sure it's getting down to the cylinders, so I'm going to hoover up a few of these. Oh, yuck. So many flipping snail shells. Or some kind of animal bringing snails back in here to eat, maybe. Or do snails just love the smell of Ford engines? Oh, it's clean underneath there. Oh, that's so disgusting up there. This really doesn't. Oh, look at the roots that are coming out of the scuttle. Really does need the engine area cleaning quite significantly. It smells fuely. Doesn't smell like any more fuel, so I'm guessing no fuel's coming through, which would suggest to me the immobiliser is in play and that is stopping any fuel coming through, which is a bad thing. Or relay R8, which is I think one of those, well no it's one of those, is stopping the fuel system running. Alright, so that one there is R8. Doesn't smell broken. This is real shade tree mechanicking, but what I can do, because if that's the same kind as that, which I think it is, 98FG 14, and yeah, I can do a switcheroo with these two, and if the fuel pump is working and something else isn't, then something else will break and that will start. But I suspect it's the immobiliser. No, the immobiliser light is still flashing and the car isn't starting, which means I don't think it's that. I think it is the immobiliser. Okay, let's get this thing cleaned up because it's disgusting at the moment. I don't want to be hosing all of this into the engine bay, so thank goodness for rubber gloves. Yuck, it's so disgusting. Or alternatively, really good topsoil. This is too many years under a tree. Right here. Oh, it smells terrible too. Goodbye foliage. Goodbye ecosystem. Right. Now I can go in with the jet washer. Now the bulk of that is gone. Yuck. Super gross. Oh, yuck. Right, I have been looking forward to this quite a lot. Here we go. Oh, it's really baked on there. Ah, it is kind of going up the house quite a lot. Might have to change directions. Ooh, probably shouldn't have done this pointing towards the Freelander. That alarm does not like something that's going on. I think it's because the bonnet's open, and I think that's why it won't start, even though it's got fuel and everything. That, I'm sure, is the reason it won't go. I'm going to have to hose off the Mercedes in a minute. It's going to take a longer to clean the driveway than the car. Bye-bye plant. Okay, now snow foam, the most relaxing and therapeutic car cleaning process of them all. This stuff soaks into the car, dirt, and lifts it away from the paint. It means it's much easier to scrub the thing clean in a minute. So I am using Diamond Bright Ceramic Blast Snow Foam, which will help soften the dirt, lift it off the paint. Now normally I wouldn't bother sudsing the car at this point, I would just go straight in for another jet wash, but because it's so heavily ingrained, I'm going to agitate a bit more, and this is really baked on hard on the roof. It may be even etched into the paint. I think that's the alarm. Trying its very best. Oh, it's kind of sweet in a way. As you can see, it's not really coming off. It's literally etched into the paint from the trees. Bye-bye snail shells. Okay, I've noticed that the driver's door lock only does the driver's door lock. However, the passenger door lock does the central locking and seems to deactivate the alarm. Oh no, it doesn't. So where this has been soaking for so long, it's kind of softened the dirt enough that now it's starting to actually scrub off using the rougher side, the scrubbing side. It does look 1,000 times better, just for being, well, not so disgusting. In fact, the weather seals have held up incredibly well. Shows how well made these Mondeos actually are. Now this is an alternative to doing snow foam. Lift Off, which is traffic film eliminator, traffic film remover. It's an agent which will release the dirt from the paint. So I'm going to give this a few minutes to soak in. This may be too etched even for this. We may need to go for mechanical means, as in a DA polisher and a cutter. But I don't want to spend too much time on this car, because if it's only going to go on eBay as a non-runner, it's going to be scrap value effectively. But if I can get it looking nicer, then, you know, onto a bit of a winner perhaps. Has this made any... Oh, it is lifting away actually. It's doing quite a good job. I should have put that on first. That's bringing that paint back a treat. Don't want to go soak the roof while that continues to soak down there. Whew. I really thought that paint was going to be too far gone to clean, but no, it's really come back beautifully. Wow, what a difference. I don't know how well this is showing up on the camera, but that is now the blue colour it's meant to be. This is still a dark, horrible, furry stuff. That's just lifting away nicely with the lift off. Wow. Thank you, Diamond Bright. Don't forget, use code FD10 to get 10% off all Diamond Bright items at diamondbright.co.uk. And the roof is also a heavily mottled mess, but I've left it marinating in Lift Off for a few minutes while I did the bonnet. Maybe we can bring this back too. Well, it's actually come up reasonably well. The paint is as flat as a pancake. That Lift Off did a really good job getting that black tree sap stuff off the paint, but it has left it very, very flat indeed, so it's going to need another day with well, a DA polisher to get a shine back into it, but it will look really good once it's done. So, good news, not that Dacia Sandero is here, but no, James the alarm guy can come on Monday, which means I've got all weekend to try and get the car, first of all, looking a bit cleaner, second of all, get the interior safe enough for him to actually go inside and do anything about with, and thirdly, maybe have another go at the fuel system, because I've got half an idea that actually it might just be the stale fuel is overwhelming the V-power. It's just so stale from so long that if I can siphon it or add more to try and dilute it some more, it might actually go once James has taken the immobiliser off. But first of all, I'm going to one-cut the bonnet to see if I can get a better shine on the thing. Well, that side is now significantly shinier than that side. You can see that's completely dull, flat, no shine to it. Also, this stuff is etched into the paint. There is still some stuff etched into the surface, but it's going away. Every time I do a pass, it goes away more, and the car does get a lot shinier. So that is just literally polishing money into the car, just how much time I want to spend on that. It kind of proves I can improve it. But the bonnet is the worst panel by far. The roof's the next worst, but not nearly as bad as the bonnet. The sides aren't too bad. Those will come up really quite nicely. The next thing will be get the interior habitable and see if we can get it to run as well. That's also quite a big deal. Okay, here ends episode 1. This is going to be a one-hit, one-shot video. Get the car in, get it fixed, get it MOT'd, get it sold, make a profit so I can put some money into the Mercedes and the new old Mini in one video. But no, it's not really worked out that well. It's too dirty, it's too broken, but it's got too much potential to let it go. So we've taken it this far in this video, but in the next video, going to go and rent a cleaner thing and do the interior. Going to keep on battling the paintwork. My immobiliser guy is going to come around in the beginning of next week, see if we can get this thing running. I'm going to try and drain the fuel tank. So ultimately, we've got the potential to have a really, really nice car. I mean, hopefully you can see what a difference attacking it with the one cut has made. This is such a night and day difference on this paintwork. So this thing could absolutely shine. That's a beautiful colour. So we could have a really nice Mondeo on our hands, so we can make double, even triple my money on this thing. And yeah, as I say, buy some decent heritage panels for the Mini, buy a new wing for that Mercedes. Awful lot of jobs need doing, which that thing can pay for. I'm already expecting a barrage of comments saying you've got enough projects, why did you take another one on? But I'm being open to as many different ideas as I can, take on different projects, different things, more variety, and if it's the opportunity to make a few quid quickly for another car, then let's take it and let's do it. Right, thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed, please, as always, like and subscribe. We'll be back on the Mercedes, back on the Mini, back on the V8 eventually in the next few videos, so do keep watching, do keep hitting subscribe, and see you again very soon. Take care, everybody. Good night, or day, even. I don't know what time it is.